don't have. And I know you worked with some artists this year. What did you learn from them, and what are your hopes for input from other people?
I think it's such a fantastic thing to remember that we traditionally think of L&D departments doing virtual training. And when I see stock photos of virtual training, you just see a head and shoulders in frames. But when I was working with an artist group earlier last year, they brought their entire body to the learning and incorporated all of the senses. It wasn't just sitting in front of a computer. It was, let's move, let's incorporate physical movement, let's incorporate other aspects into this learning, which you know and I know makes for a better learning experience. Let's get that phone or mobile device and take it out. I was working with a hospitality chain recently, and they were talking about the client impressions, the first impressions that clients got. And the participants were each taking their mobile devices and taking us on tours of their property so that we could see from that experience what the client experience was like. And so incorporating in more than just sight, more than just hearing, but other aspects into the online learning experience. I think we need to see more of that and can see more of that, getting creative with our design and our facilitation.
Yeah, fantastic. I'm excited for this. And I've definitely seen some things around music and comedy, how people, kind of use the fact that they're distributed. Your example about sort of going on a tour of your facility or sharing something that you can share because you're physically somewhere else is really, really interesting.
Yeah, Chris, and just a few weeks ago, I worked with a group. They were a global audience. We were in a workshop, and it was 3 days. We had 90 minutes each day for 3 days. And so we always did a stretch break in the middle, and I would turn music on and do different things. Well, it turns out one of the attendees in a European country was a Zumba instructor and asked if he could lead us in a 3-minute Zumba experience. It was one of the most fun stretch breaks that we had. And it added the brightness to the session.
Yeah, really good. I was in a session myself at Stanford Design School, and after lunch, they sent us out on a mission to take photographs, to think of a color, and to follow that color around their space, and to take 10 photographs of that color. And then everybody came back and shared their screens with their photos on. It's kind of really something that you might not think to do if you're sort of with people in person. Very, very cool. What do you think are the toughest problems facing the L&D teams that you work with in the immediate future? Let's say we've got over our core infrastructure problems. We've got some capability. We're starting to learn how to address Zoom fatigue. What do you think is going to be the preoccupation as we go into the rest of 2021?
I'm not so sure it will be preoccupation as much as some of the strategic decisions that L&D organizations need to make. And one of those is, did the Band-Aid pivot initial program work, or do we need to go back and invest in redesign, thinking about the program differently? So I think that's one. The second is upskilling facilitators and designers in the new tools and technology that we've been talking about, as there's been such rapid innovation in tools, helping them feel equipped to provide training using that. From a really practical standpoint, historically, organizations might have organized their training by region or by locality. And now that virtual or online training has broken down those geographic barriers, what's the new structure look like? Are we having one training program that spans across borders, across boundaries? And we can see good things out of that. But logistically, from an organization who historically hasn't done that, it's worth looking at and figuring out, or if they've had a cost structure around payment for training, internal transfers, what does that look like and how does that drive? Are we going to keep somebody in Chicago taking a class in Chicago by a Chicago-based office, or can they join in with their colleagues from Brazil or Paris or somewhere else? So I think some of those logistical infrastructure issues are going to be top of mind. The others is as geographic regions return to the office and you have some who are in person and some who are still working remotely, what does that mean for online learning? Are you going to do a hybrid class where some people are together and some are remote? And thinking about the best design decisions and facilitation skills that are required for that when you have audiences having different experiences. And so putting some real thought and making mindful decisions about that are coming down the road. And then finally, as we think about some of the new technologies, some of the emerging technologies, building in truly immersive VR experiences, it's easy to do that, but how do we do that? And are we going to incorporate and invest into that as it becomes much more accessible to many organizations?
Yeah, a new wave of technology, a new set of opportunities there. Cindy, what else should I have asked you? What else is top of mind for you as you go into 2021 that we didn't talk about?
We've talked about so much today, Chris, the technology, the research, the where we've been and where we're going. I think just continuing to remember it's about the learners and about the learning and not about the shiny object syndrome. And that's how we'll be successful.
Got it. That's great. That's a great point. I ask everybody who comes on the podcast this question because I'm interested, particularly in learning. I think is kind of special work. I'll say it that way. So why did you choose to do this line of work? Was there something or somebody or incident that inspired you to do what you do every day?
Absolutely love what I do, and I couldn't imagine doing anything else. Chris, you asked earlier about pivotal career moments, and when I was a young child, about 4 years old, my family moved into a home and the previous occupants left behind a chalkboard. There was a chalkboard that I would bring my dolls in and sit them in front of and teach them whatever I learned in school that day. So I have been a lifelong teacher, and it's just what I'm wired to do. I love it.
Fantastic. Well, I'm glad you do, and I'm glad that you share the expertise that you've built over time, and just what an extraordinary opportunity to help a lot of teams get smarter and more effective about what they do. So thanks for your work. Where can people find out more about it?
I would direct people to my website, which is cindyhuggett.com. And I know you'll put that down in the show notes. I'm really active on both Twitter and LinkedIn. You can find me there, sharing tips, sharing resources. I have a newsletter that gets sent out once a month to thousands of subscribers. And I'm always sharing my latest resources and where to find me when I'm speaking.
Well, Cindy, it was great to talk to you. Thanks for sharing your insights today. What an incredible year you've had. I didn't ask you at the beginning, which very remiss of me, whether everybody's healthy and well. You've been keeping well, I hope.
Yes, thanks for asking. We're doing well. It's been a year that I've gotten to spend a lot of time with my husband and my 7-year-old son. So we are thankful to be healthy and safe.
Great. Well, I'm thankful too. Thanks very much for your time and your insights, Cindy. We will see you around, and I wish you lots of luck with 2021 and the next phase of all this.
Thanks, Chris. Great to be here.
Thanks as always for listening to this episode of Learning is the New Working. Please rate us on your favorite podcast platform, share us with your friends and community, or drop us a note at www.learningisthenewworking.org, where you can find a back catalogue of all our episodes and learn more and get resources from the amazing people that we've been lucky enough to feature. Please, please, please stay well, stay home, but stay connected and always stay learning. Thanks.